Welcome back to Main Street Living. Danielle, Quincy, Drew Brees is one of the few sports stars that seems to be universally loved or at least admired by fans of any team. In fact, I remember when he played for Purdue in the Big Ten.
Oh yeah, Cheryl. Look, while covering the Saints, our next guest interviewed Drew Brees, the future Hall of Famer, almost 300 times, and has written a book about Brees and what he has meant to all of his fans. So we'd like to welcome back to Main Street Living sports broadcaster, Saints insider, and now author Mike Nabors. Welcome back to the show, Mike.
Thanks so much for having me. Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays to you as well, Mike. We talked to you before. You've covered every single game that Drew Brees has played with the Saints. Now, what was it about Drew Brees that made him such an icon, both with the Saints and just in the city of New Orleans?
Well, so much. When he arrived, the expectations weren't through the roof. I mean, they just wanted a football team back in New Orleans, first and foremost. Then they wanted some, obviously, stability at the coaching position because Sean Payton had just been hired. And Drew Brees comes into town, rebounding from a shoulder injury. But right away, after a rough preseason, they go to the NFC Championship game. So that was my first year covering the team. And it was amazing. I almost felt kind of guilty because the Saints fans had suffered for so long.
Yeah.
Immediately when Peyton and Brees came together, it was really a magical ride. And then it lasted for so long, for 15 years, which is really unheard of in the NFL. I mean, you only have a handful of quarterbacks that do that. So I knew after having so many one-on-one interviews with him that I had a lot of material. So I knew I would look back and regret it if I didn't make a book. And it's been about a 10-month process. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Well, I have to imagine you had a ton of material because, as Quincy mentioned, you conducted nearly 300 one-on-one interviews with Drew Brees. I have to imagine that built a very close relationship. What was it like having that kind of relationship with Drew Brees?
You know what stands out is the fact that he was always good. He never complained about it. You never felt like he didn't want to do it or rushed off. And beyond that, he was often better after a loss than a win. I mean, he had so many record-breaking nights. I mean, Tom Brady recently has broken a lot of Brees' records. But on those record-breaking nights, he may complete, 28 to 30 passes, and he would lament about the 2 incompletions. But on the nights of the heartbreaking losses, he knew he was the leader of the football team, and what he said mattered. I mean, he wouldn't say that, but he knew it, and it did mean something. So he was often better after a loss, just knowing he was a leader of a football team, and that's so rare as for a professional athlete to act that way with the media.
Yeah, and I have to say, as a Dallas Cowboy fan, we beat the Saints earlier this year. I'm glad we didn't have to play Breeze or any Alvin Kamara and any of those guys. It made it a little bit easy, okay? But you recently published a book called The Breeze Way. So why did you decide to write the book about Drew Brees?
Well, shameless plug right here. Yeah, here's The Breeze Way. We just released this on Amazon this month. We want to do it. Obviously, it'd be a great holiday gift. If you're a Saints fan, if you're a Breeze fan, and frankly, if you're a football fan, I wanted to, encompass all the interviews I've done, but I also wanted to have somebody introduce the book that was close to Breeze. So everybody knows Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie is Drew Brees' mentor. He's a great friend. When he came into the league in San Diego, he was the guy for Drew Brees and really set the tone for him in a lot of ways. And Doug Flutie lives in Florida. I live in Florida, and I found a connection with him. He's playing in an adult baseball league. And he said, come on over. We'll talk about Drew before my game, maybe between innings. If you don't get enough, you can stay after the game. I said, absolutely. So I go over there to his baseball game. We talk before the game, and all of a sudden, selfishly, it couldn't have worked out better. A monsoon comes down. The game is rained out. So Doug Flutie and I are in a dugout in Melbourne, Florida, talking about Brees for about an hour and a half. Flutie's wearing his baseball uniform. He agreed to write the foreword. But beyond that, so many great Drew stories. And really, that's what the book is about. So much has been written about guys like Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. When you approach a project like this, from my standpoint, I wanted to give fans something they haven't heard before. So once I got Flutie, then I reached out to a lot of former teammates who you'll see on the back of the book have endorsed it, from his former offensive linemen, wide receivers, even defensive players he had a relationship with. One of them is Zach Strief, an offensive lineman. They had these epic ping pong battles in the locker room. Brees got upset he lost to Zach Strief, so you'll have to read the book and how he got his revenge. So it's not just stuff you've heard about, the Super Bowls and all the big victories. It's behind the curtain stories with Brees.
Wow. So I have to ask then, it's not just a book about football and ping pong.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think you won't even have to be a football fan to appreciate this, or you could have a child who's maybe a great athlete, but they say, "Oh, you're not big enough to play." I mean, with Flutie writing the foreword and Breeze being the main character in this book, I mean, those are two guys who weren't recruited heavily. They weren't top draft picks. They weren't considered to be guys who would make it to the level they made it. And a lot of it's about the journey and how they got there, and stories of their competitive nature, and really from Breeze's standpoint, not only competitive nature, but how hard he worked to get to the level of being a future Hall of Famer. So it's really about the journey, and then great family stories about Drew. And now he's a broadcaster for NBC. So I went really behind the scenes, why he wants to be a broadcaster and what he may do beyond broadcasting, whether it's politics. He has several business interests, and his teammates think he'd be a great coach. Now, he's never said that. So, a lot of things just, football fans and Saints fans haven't heard before.
Wow. Well,
we know the Jaguars need a new head coach, so maybe he could look there.
Breaking news, absolutely. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things could happen. And and Mike is so cool because for me, my attachment to Drew is his high school, Westlake in Austin, Texas, used to beat up my high school, Westwood Warriors. So
wow.
Yeah. So I have a slight attachment to it. It definitely sounds like a great fantastic holiday gift. Where can viewers find more about the book and purchase a copy?
It's on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon right now. But if you want an autographed copy, you can go to my website, MikeNabors.com, N-A-B as in boy, O-R-S. I have, a Venmo and PayPal options you can have, and just give me your address, who you want the book made out to be and made out to. And I'd be glad to give you an autographed copy, but it's on Amazon, and it's going to be in bookstores soon too, all around the country. So we're excited about it.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Mike, for coming to talk to us about it, and congratulations on the book. I can't wait to read it.
I really appreciate it. Happy holidays. Thanks for having me on. Very much appreciated.
All right, Mike Nabors, everybody. We love to have him on the show, obviously. We're going to keep the good feelings going because coming up next, we're going to hear from some friends who are training dogs to help veterans.